The concept of timeshares in Arizona. Real estate introduces a unique form of shared ownership and use rights that differ greatly from traditional property ownership. Understanding the specific terminology and legal framework governing timeshares is essential for licensees who may represent developers, purchasers, or resale participants. Arizona regulates timeshares under ARS. Paragraph 32-2197 through 32-2197-24, establishing clear rules regarding creation, marketing, sales, and purchaser protections. At the heart of this system is the timeshare plan, which refers to any arrangement, whether by ownership, lease, or license, that allows multiple individuals to use an accommodation for specific periods throughout the year. Each participant is granted the right to occupy a unit or set of accommodations on a recurring basis, typically 1 week per year. Unlike fractional ownership, which involves owning a deeded percentage interest in real property, a timeshare plan often grants a right to use, which is a contractual interest rather than a fee simple estate. The term accommodation is central to understanding a timeshare. Under ARS, paragraph 32-11971, an accommodation is any apartment, condominium unit, cabin, lodge, or similar dwelling unit designated for occupancy within a timeshare plan. Accommodations may be part of a single resort, a multi-site network, or a points-based program. For example, a purchaser in a Sedona resort might own 1 week per year in a specific unit, or they might own a flexible right to reserve different resorts within a developer's portfolio, depending on availability. The developer is defined under ARS, paragraph 32-11976, as any person or entity that creates and sells interests in a timeshare plan. The developer is responsible for registering the project with the Arizona Department of Real Estate, ADRE, before offering timeshare interests for sale. This includes submitting a detailed public report, financial assurances, and documentation proving the property's marketability and habitability. The developer also bears legal responsibility for truthful advertising, compliance with disclosure requirements, and honoring purchasers' cancellation rights. A purchaser, as defined by ARS, paragraph 32-2197-17, is any person who buys a timeshare interest, excluding those who acquire it for resale or development purposes. Purchasers are often consumers seeking a cost-effective way to enjoy recurring vacation stays without the responsibilities of full property ownership. Arizona law provides extensive consumer protections for the purchaser, who may rescind the purchase agreement without cause of any kind by sending or delivering a written notice of rescission by midnight of the 10th calendar day, following the day on which the purchaser or prospective purchaser executed the purchase agreement under ARS, paragraph 32-197, auto 5. For example, if a couple purchases a timeshare at a Sedona resort on a Saturday and later regrets the decision after reviewing their finances, they have until the following Friday to rescind the agreement by providing written notice to the developer. The developer must refund all payments within 15 business days. This statutory right ensures fairness and protects consumers from high-pressure sales tactics, commonly associated with vacation ownership marketing. The definition of a timeshare plan also encompasses multi-site and points-based systems, where purchasers buy points that can be exchanged for accommodations within a network of resorts. Each point value corresponds to factors such as season, location, and unit size. Developers must clearly disclose how points are allocated, how reservations are prioritized, and whether inventory availability can affect usage rights. These provisions ensure transparency and prevent deceptive marketing practices. Timeshare terminology also includes related terms, such as exchange program and managing entity. An exchange program allows purchasers to trade their usage rights for stays at other resorts, often operated by third-party exchange companies. The managing entity, typically the homeowners association or resort management company, oversees the property's operations, maintenance, and owner communication. Under ARS, paragraph 33, 206, the managing entity must maintain proper accounting records, reserve funds, and provide annual budget disclosures to owners. An important aspect of timeshare law is distinguishing between deeded and non-deeded ownership. In a deeded timeshare, purchasers receive a recorded interest in the property, granting them ownership of a specific week or fractional share. In a non-deeded, right-to-use timeshare, purchasers hold only a contractual right for a limited number of years. This distinction affects taxation, financing, and resale rights. For instance, a deeded timeshare interest may be transferred or inherited like any other real estate asset, while a right-to-use contract expires after its term ends. Case law also helps define the legal landscape for timeshares in Arizona. In Cohen v. Resorts International, 1992, the court examined the enforceability of timeshare rescission clauses and confirmed that statutory rescission periods under state law take precedence over contractual limitations imposed by developers. This case reinforced Arizona's consumer protection approach, ensuring that purchasers are fully aware of their rights and have the ability to withdraw from agreements entered into under pressure. In the case, purchasers alleged that the developer engaged in misleading sales tactics, including high-pressure presentations and failure to adequately disclose material information about the timeshare interests being sold. The court held that timeshare developers and sellers are subject to strict disclosure and consumer protection standards, emphasizing that purchasers rely heavily on the representations made during sales presentations. The decision reinforced that omissions or misleading statements about costs, usage rights, and long-term obligations can constitute unlawful consumer fraud, even if some disclosures appear in written documents. Cohen v. Resorts International is commonly referenced to illustrate the heightened duty of honesty and transparency imposed on timeshare developers and salespersons, and the importance of clear, conspicuous disclosures to protect buyers in complex vacation ownership transactions. Review summary. This lesson established the foundation for understanding Arizona timeshare law through the key definitions of accommodation, developer, timeshare plan, and purchaser. Licensees must be able to distinguish between ownership and use rights, recognize the developer's obligations under ADRE registration requirements, and explain purchaser protections, including the 10-day rescission period. Timeshare management involves both real property principles and consumer protection law, requiring strict adherence to disclosure, registration, and record-keeping requirements to maintain compliance and protect the public. Discussion prompts. Why does Arizona law distinguish between deeded and non-deeded timeshare ownership? Answer: because deeded ownership conveys a legal interest in real property that can be transferred or inherited, while non-deeded ownership is contractual and expires after a fixed term. What is the purpose of the rescission period provided to purchasers under ARS? Paragraph 32 and 2197.03. Answer: it protects consumers from high-pressure sales tactics by allowing them 10 calendar days to cancel a purchase without penalty and have full refund of all the money they deposited. What responsibility does a developer have under Arizona law before selling a timeshare? Answer: the developer must register the timeshare plan with the ADRE, obtain a public report, and disclose all material facts to purchasers. Closing remarks. Timeshares represent a fascinating intersection of real estate, contract law, and consumer protection. While they provide an accessible way for buyers to enjoy recurring vacation experiences, they also require strict adherence to Arizona's statutory framework to prevent fraud and abuse. Real estate licensees play an essential role in ensuring that both developers and purchasers understand their rights and obligations. By mastering the definitions and legal foundation of timeshare terminology, agents and brokers strengthen their professional competence, and uphold the integrity of Arizona's real estate market.